Perdón.
Good afternoon. Our talk is about how we made our mentorship program grow 17 times in the past 4 years. I'm going to tell you a story about women who help other women. Since we started our mentorship program over 4 years ago, we have implemented several activities with our mentors to promote our activities. In 2018, two of our mentors, the ones you see here on this picture, were invited to present a talk promoting we girls to work in technology, trying to make girls work in technology. We wanted them to share their story about how they had entered the world of technology. Years later, I was also invited to that event, and this time the organizer shared the story with me. During that week, while she was promoting this activity at a school, a girl approached her. Why? She wanted to thank her. First, this girl was pregnant. She was about 16 years old. And she told this space's organizer that thanks to the talk given by one of our mentors, she decided not to drop out, not to leave school. And I brought this story with me as a gift to our mentors because in the north of Chile, there was a girl who had not dropped out of school thanks to the fact that a mentor shared her story. And that's what mentoring is all about. Helping other women, in this case, with our experience as a gift, so those receiving them can become empowered. They can feel not alone. They can have guidance and not feel judged. For a long time, we did one-on-one mentoring, and we were really happy because the impact we had was huge. Women who were empowered, women who were much more satisfied with their work and happier. Nevertheless, one-on-one mentorship was limited because it was only 12 women a year. We only had 12 mentors, so we could only reach 12 girls. But we always wanted to protect the quality of our program because that's what held us apart. And even though we received many candidates, we wanted to protect that quality. And we would even filter out mentors. We even do that today. And one of the things that was the most essential requirement to be a mentor is wanting to help with the sole purpose of helping other women, to help them grow. Nevertheless, in 2019, in Chile and many other countries, new activities or protests appeared led by women. Women went out to the streets to fight because our rights continued to be violated. Then the pandemic hit, and new news came about the different situations women had to deal with. Also, lockdown led to an increase in domestic violence and feminicides. Unfortunately, it would seem that we have gotten used to seeing this news without nothing happening after that. During the pandemic, women were the ones who had to leave our jobs to care for children. And all the progress we had made in terms of work was beginning to become undone. We had made a few steps and now we were going back. And it has always happened that women don't have the same access to professional education as men. So the situation seemed quite complex. So in that context, we started to think that we needed to do something. Mentoring 12 women per year was not enough. Not in that context. We needed to do more. What could we do? And then we started thinking about how to bring group learning to our mentorship program. How could we do that so that instead of having a one-on-one relationship, we could have an end-on-end relationship? And we envisioned it as a boot camp. And yes, the conversation topics and the modules we were to have would be the ones that would come up every year as part of the needs or pains women go through. Confidence, how to address difficult conversations, and of course, how to negotiate. What were the results of this program? Regina is going to tell us. Thank you, Lily. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some changes we implemented and the results of that. As Lily was telling you, we started with a mentorship that was worked one-on-one. We had one mentor and one mentoree, And after 3 cycles of that, we learned 2 things. First was that the need for these safe spaces for conversation where women could discuss things we care about are necessary. The second one is the impact, because all the women who participated in these programs saw a positive impact in their lives. So in 2019, we did the first test pilot of a group mentoring program. So we wondered how many women could be reached by each mentor. So we set up groups of 20 women and 2 mentors, and we learned 2 things. The group format was a bit different because there was a lot of intimacy, but there was a team there, and the 2 mentors together could make a great team and have a great bond. And more material needed to be generated because it wasn't just a conversation, it was more of a class. That's how we created a bootcamp on confidence and negotiation. The following year, we decided to gain more intimacy. So instead of having 2 mentors per group, we had 3 mentors. But then the pandemic hit in 2020. The challenge was bigger. We needed to do it remotely. So instead of starting in Chile and doing it on site, we decided to use the community of Más Mujeres, and let's invite more embassies to be part of our program, because if this is going to be remote, let's try to escalate. And that's how the embassies of Peru, Chile, and Uruguay worked together in 2020 to escalate this program. So, what did we learn that year? 3 mentors every 20 minutes? 20 women, that works. The Latin American format worked, the virtual format worked. So, after all these years of learning and many cycles validating the material, understanding the need and how we can solve that, 2021 and this year, 2022, are years in which we are escalating things. Now I'm going to tell you about how we grew. If we look at the historic perspective since 2018, in 2018 we had 12 mentors. Now we have 41. That means that we increased our size 4 times. For the mentees, it's so much more because we started with 12 mentees per cycle, and right now we have 208 women receiving mentorships. So we grew 17 times. It's a lot. And this was made possible thanks to the community of Más Mujeres in UX, more women in UX. We started with Chile, and then in 2020 we escalated to Peru and Uruguay, and now we have the support of Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, and even Brazil. To better understand the impact at a personal level, it's great to remember that mentorships are a program for emotional intelligence. We don't teach how to do a portfolio. We don't teach graphic design techniques. We teach soft skills. So our main metrics have to do with confidence, resilience, communication, negotiation. Having said this, these are the results. 89% of women who participate in these mentorships feel more confident. They feel better with themselves and their decisions. 80% say that they are more resilient, they are more tolerant to frustration, and more optimistic in difficult times. 40% report to have succeeded in negotiation, and 43% or 87%, depending on the year, have benefited from our networking activities. And then we have lateral metrics, have to do with having had job interviews or changed jobs. We are tracking them as well to assess our impact. But the most important part is that our program provides information that cannot be found anywhere else, and it has to do with emotional intelligence. Now, if we look at the historical data, we see that between 2018 and 2020, we started to validate what women needed, what needed to be discussed in these spaces, how they needed to look like, how many mentors were necessary for a certain amount of mentees to achieve this intimacy and sorority. And then in 2021 and 22, we just escalated. So, Caro, what can you tell us about the things we learned? Well, what have we learned? A lot of things. First of all, the importance of having a purpose. As Simon Sinek says in Start with Why, people move and become inspired when we know why we do what we do and who do we do it for. And since our community was born to visibilize women who were already making a contribution, Lily designed this program as a place to accelerate the growth of the women who were part of it. And when I saw that first invitation in 2018, that purpose moved me so much, and I really wanted to be part of it. Why? Well, because by then I had been working for 15 years in a very difficult industry for women, such as the IT industry. It's not easy for us to make progress, and I had to do it by myself, managing as I could with a lot of trial and error and a lot of obstacles. Now that I think back, I would have loved to be guided by powerful women who could join me in this path. That is why, if I hadn't been able to have that space, I had the ability, now that I had this experience, to do it for other women. And Lily and I weren't enough. We needed to join more forces. We needed a team. And not only a team that would agree with us, but who also lived by these principles. So we tried to find mentors who shared this need to help others. How could we tell if women wanted to help? Well, because normally they had already helped, informally or formally, other women. These were women who had already fostered the career of others, women who celebrated the achievements of other women. And we started to look for those women in different spaces in our circles and found a lot of generous women who joined us and allowed us to escalate this program and widen our impact. We also learned that it was a good idea to foster collaborative learning. For those who haven't heard about that, this is now an educational trend that exists. It's not something that we invented, but we did benefit from the principles underlying this style of learning. We can summarize it in these points: one for all for one. All women, mentors and mentees learn from each other. We encourage each other to learn and to do new things, and we celebrate our accomplishments. And that impact has a multiplying effect in that learning. So it's easier for women to incorporate it and to sustain it throughout time, even beyond the period of the mentorship. Now, creating a safe space. What's a safe space? In our mentorships, this safe space is translated into a place where women can speak about their fears, their problems, their difficulties without being judged. And in this kind of space, they are joined by other women, other perspectives, other strategies that maybe they wouldn't have known about, and they realize that we went through the same hurdles, the same difficulties, and that now that we have each other, we can overcome them. Another thing we learned when we started escalating this program was the importance of documenting. Documentation. In 2018, we were 12 on 12, and it was easy to transfer knowledge verbally through meetings. But now that we have over 40 mentors and over 200 mentees, it's not easy to do it that way. So we learned that we needed to record the procedures and the dynamics that worked better in our sessions with all the data that could make the onboarding process for both mentors and mentees easier. And as I said before, let's keep it simple. Since the very beginning, we always worked with an MVP mentality, doing the minimum effort to get the best objective, and with a leading mentality, making things simple without waste, because we are volunteers. We work with our available time, and we don't have that much available time because we have family obligations, personal obligations, work obligations. So we need to keep this program simple so it doesn't become too much of a time burden for the organizers, for the mentors who are donating their time. So we always try to keep it simple. For example, if we can have an explanatory video instead of a meeting for in order to teach mentors something about the program, we do it. If we can have asynchronous sessions for certain things and then only have synchronous meetings for actionable items, we do that too. Let's keep it simple. And one final thing, remote works. At the beginning, many people told us that this magic of the emotional connection we achieved on site would not be replicated remotely. Still, we have tried to find a way to see if that hypothesis was correct or not. Fortunately enough, it wasn't. Remote works too. We get that emotional bond. Why? Because human beings need that bond, that connection. We seek it, and that goes beyond physical distance. And how can we tell? Because we laugh at our sessions, we cry, we share intimate stories, we get emotional with other women's stories. So we were able to see that it actually works. And to bring to come back to reality and to see the reality of this program, we're going to tell you about two cases of two women who were part of this program and managed to change their lives. The first one is Tania Sosa from Mexico. She participated in 2021. And when she got to the program, she was working at a company where she didn't feel comfortable or valued. The work environment wasn't really nice, and she didn't really know what to do. Should she stay and try to keep her job during the pandemic, where it was really difficult to switch jobs, or should she try to find another space where she felt safer and that allowed her to change? And thanks to the advice from the mentors and mentees in her group, she decided to step back and try to find another option. And right now she's happy working at Platzi. She's super happy. She feels appreciated. She's happy with what she's doing, and she's thankful to this safe space that allowed her to make that decision that seemed so difficult back then. Oh, Tania is thanking us on the chat. And we also have the case of Javiera Caris. She was just starting in UX design, and when she joined our program, she didn't feel really confident in her abilities. She didn't really know what she could contribute to this discipline. And by the end of this program, not only was she feeling more confident, she had actually left Chile, and right now she is living in Portugal, where she is working, and she also works as a freelancer with clients in Chile. And what did she learn? Well, as you can see there, she learned that she can do whatever she sets her mind to do. Those are the things that feel so gratifying to us and that make us wanting to have more and more impact on more women. Because we have a huge dream. Our dream is to change the world. Our dream is to make the world a better place for all women, where each woman can choose freely what to do, what to work in, and how to work. That's what we want. Because ultimately what we want is more women in UX, more women in tech, and more women everywhere. And for that, we need your help. Because if we want to continue to grow, we will need more mentors, more presenters, more organizers. So if you're interested, please, you'll find us at mentoras.masmujeresux@gmail.com, where you can join our dream. We'll be waiting for you. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, equipo.